Welcome in. Jesse Shule here from jesseshule.com. We got the Saturday morning kickoff show, and it's rivalry week, week 13. Man, some big games today. This is going to probably be the most exciting show we've done yet this season. I'm really looking forward to it. We got 3 special guests for the show. We got Dan's Rants back in business, coming to talk about the game. We got Rye Cape coming back to talk about South Carolina and Clemson. We got Kevin Thomas coming to talk about the Iron Bowl. Kevin took me down last week. He was the lone gunman that was able to get one on the Iceman. I took the other 2 guys down in a big way. I had Appalachian State upsetting JMU, one of the more public plays of the week, JMU, and I picked that upset. And Rye, I can't remember what I did to Rye, but whatever it was, he's still licking his wounds. Let's bring in Dan Thomas to talk about the game, the one that everybody's talking about. Not Dan Thomas, Dan's Rants. Dan, This game is huge. And you say you know who's going to win this game? You got the winner for us?
You know what? I think for anyone for this game specifically to completely have the uttermost confidence on a side, I don't know. I don't know if you can go that route. This is crazy. The emotion's going to be high. Usually I have a little bit more of an edge based on statistics and some concrete evidence. This is more of a gut feeling. This is more of line movement. This is more of just a feel-out type of game. We have a game that was a look ahead, right? The line was what, 5.5, 6.5? The look ahead line, I think.
Yeah, money's pouring in on Ohio State. Yep, it's threes across the board right now.
Is it? I see 3.5 on FanDuel. I checked about 2 minutes ago.
It's probably not going to last long because I'm looking the odds boards I'm looking at 3 across the board, and it was 3.5 last night. So that money is coming in on Ohio State. The public does like the Buckeyes, and the Buckeyes are the sexy team. They got they score more points. They've got the wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
They're the team that produces the flashy players, whereas Michigan's more your lunch pail team. So it's not surprising. But, Dan, do you want to get right into your pick and your reasoning, or do you want me to go first this time?
I'll go first. I think there's a little bit more of kind of concrete stuff that you can bring up with Michigan. So I'll go ahead and kind of give you my case for Ohio State today, and then go ahead and nitpick the game the best you can. Look, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. today just needs to be a distraction. I think his value in simply taking up maybe 2 defenders and kind of wherever you put him in the offensive scheme, his distraction is probably more valuable than maybe his statistics today. Their tight end Stover's coming on strong. You got Henderson in there. Ohio State is a little bit more balanced. Michigan, if that running game isn't working today, if they can't run successfully, I really don't know if McCarthy's going to be able to do this thing through the air. So you have a little bit more of a balanced offense with Ohio State. At least they have some things they can do. They've been scoring more points. I talked about the line movement. It's down to 3.5. It's down to 3, whatever you want to say. I don't like public dogs. I don't like being on a public side. It scares me a little bit that all this money comes in and it's still at least like a field goal. But I like the under in this game. A little bit of a bonus target at this game. I like the under. So if it's going to be close, if it's going to be competitive, if it's going to be a nail biter, I like to have the points in my back pocket here. It's going to come down to this Michigan running game. Michigan ran the ball successfully against Penn State at Penn State. Penn State we can kind of use as a common denominator. I don't like doing that because in college football, you use that method where this team beat this team, and then this team beat this team, and you look at those 2 games, and then it makes a certain matchup look like.
Let me jump in. Did you see the meme I posted on Twitter last week that this team beat this team, and the conclusion is that the Ohio Bobcats are better than Alabama? They've got a formula, so it starts out with Ohio beat this team, And then at the end, the Ohio Bobcats are better than Alabama.
Yeah, no, I'm a big anti ABC method. So you can look at the Penn State for both. Ohio State did not beat Penn State as impressively as Michigan did, and Michigan, it was an away game. So sure, that suggests that Michigan's the better team. But as of late, they kind of squeaked by Maryland. Was it a look ahead? I don't know. Maryland has some talent. Maryland was actually in the game against Ohio State very firmly for a while. So I don't know. We got a couple common denominators. I don't think anybody in the Big Ten is a step up in class until these two play each other. So do we really know what we get from both teams on the biggest stage? I mean, we've seen a 7 out of 10 game, right? We've seen like a B+ game with Penn State. I think they're a little bit overrated. I think my West Virginia Mountaineers, had a chance to win that game despite the final score. I like the points here. It's got to be close. I like the under. I think regardless who wins this game, we're looking at 24-20, 23-20, 20-17. I'm going to take a chance with the 3.5.
Yeah, good look on the under there, Dan. These two teams have gone over in 9 straight head-to-head meetings, but you got to look at the quarterback situation for Ohio State. They normally have a Heisman candidate at quarterback. Last year it was C.J. Stroud, and C.J. Stroud threw for 349 yards in the loss to Michigan. And what's his face? Kyle McCord hasn't thrown for 349 yards in a game yet this year. Doesn't really appear to be capable to have those kind of games, despite the fact that he's got those weapons around him. Marvin Harrison Jr., certainly he's got the ability to take over a game. I sort of figure Harrison Jr. took over the game against Penn State. If it wasn't for him, Penn State's right there in that game with a chance to win it. I'm a little bit skeptical that Ohio State's offensive line can hold up for long enough for Harrison to be as much of a factor against Michigan. And overall, I think even though home field traditionally hasn't been a big factor in previous meetings, I still want the home team. I'm sure you ask both these coaches, do you want home field? I think they're going to say, hell yeah. So while historically it hasn't been a big factor, I still consider it to be a big factor. And it's kind of a show me thing. I mean, this pretty much this exact Michigan team, it was same quarterback. They went in and ran all over Ohio State last year. They beat them 2 years in a row now. And there's just really no indication that anybody can stop them from running. You nailed it on the head. If they're not successful running the football today, they're probably going to lose. But that's a pretty big if from what we've seen from this team.
Yeah, limit. They don't. Obviously, it's not going to stop it. But if they can,
and I just have a little bit more faith, and I've seen McCarthy do it before. Is the thing. First of all, I don't think McCarthy has to have a big game for Michigan to be successful. I think McCord does. I think McCord has to probably have his best game of the season or close to for Ohio State to win this game. Yeah. And I think that's asking a lot. On the road, at the Big House, against a very strong Michigan defense, behind an offensive line that struggled at times, you're asking a lot of a guy that hasn't really shown that he could do it. So, and the price to me, now it's down to 3, even at 3.5. It seems like you're getting a bargain. If you like Michigan, you're getting a pretty good price.
It is 100% line value on Michigan. Most people that run models and have faith in their models, all these models that people run that have been successful throughout some time. A lot of people have this at 5.5, 6.5, closer to a touchdown. You're getting line value with Michigan. It is a public dog. It is an away game. But here's the thing. How do you break down the coaching situation? And I'm not saying that Michigan not having Harbaugh is necessarily the important thing. I think it's more the pressure on Day here. I mean, if Ohio State doesn't get the job done this year with Harbaugh not even coaching, that's going to be a big negative thing on the Ohio State program. I think that team's going to be really fired up. Notre Dame game for Ohio State, I know the coaching staff and the whole team overall kind of got poked for not being physical and things of that nature.
I didn't like the post-game interview by Day there when he said how tough his team was, and
right.
called out some old man, and I thought that was a little bit much. And I'm not really a big Ryan Day fan. I mean, you throw Ryan Day in the MAC or something like that, and is he going to look like? I mean, it's easy to look like a genius when you inherited this Ohio State team, but I'm not sure that he's all that as a head coach. But he might prove me wrong. I agree with what you said. I mean, this is certainly anybody's game. It's hard to have a huge degree of confidence.
Yeah, no, don't bet the house on this one. Ultimately, to make it short and sweet, this could be a 10-point game. This could be a 10-point game with 3 minutes left. Ohio State gets one more in the end zone, and they cover. I mean, this is a spread of 3. We're not asking to win the game here. We're going for an ATS pick. And in a game that I like the under in already, in a game that should be crazy competitive, Michigan's offense a little bit more one-dimensional than Ohio State. It could still be a 10-point margin, 8-point margin, 7-point margin at the end. Maybe something if it does go to overtime. If you get to at least double overtime or triple overtime with the 2-point conversions, maybe it's a 2-point margin. So you kind of go like this. You take the points. You hope it's a good game. You hope it's entertaining, and you roll with the Buckeyes.
And it might well be the better bet just to roll with the under 46 is the other.
Oh yeah, no, that for sure. If I would rather take that than a side, for sure.
Well, Dan, thanks for coming in to talk about this game. Why don't you give us an idea how you've been doing lately, what you got going on, and where people can find your picks?
Yeah, usual stuff right here on my YouTube channel, Dan's Rants. This board right here is my progress report throughout the whole college football season. That's NFL and college. Those are my winning percentages. NFL is starting to heat up, and college, we're coming down to the wire. NFL, there's a lot more meat on the bone. Last 2 weeks in NFL, 4-1 and 3-1. No subscription thing for me. I do this for fun, so everything on my channel is completely free. If you want to see my official picks, they're out this week. Check it out.
Thank you, Dan. I'll send you backstage, and we'll bring out Kevin Thomas. Kevin, you took me down last weekend. You confident that you can do it again this week? Muted, Kevin.
If I glitch something with this Wi-Fi in my house, I don't know what's going on, but sorry about that.
Yeah, well, we'd like to just keep you muted while you're bragging about beating me on the show. So, so the window of opportunity to talk about the win is over now.
Well, after watching yesterday to start off with Iowa, Nebraska, and the public all over Iowa getting points and seeing them cover, I knew today was going to be a real sharp day. So I love today's card I like all the dogs. But I'll let you start today. I started yesterday, so you can go ahead and jump in.
Right. Buddy. Well, there has been some back and forth on Twitter and on YouTube, and I was talking to some pros that do another show, and I said I think Alabama is in need of style points here. I think they're a one-loss team, and they lost to Texas, who is also a one-loss team, and Texas has an opportunity to win the Big 12 and be a Power 5 champ with one loss, but the team they beat is Alabama. So how do you put in Alabama over Texas? It's going to be. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think that the committee won't do it, but I'm saying it'll be highly controversial, and it'll be even more controversial if you see Alabama kind of lay an egg in the Iron Bowl, win by a field goal or something along those lines, because Auburn just lost to New Mexico State. Auburn's a terrible team. Alabama, I think, needs this on the resume. They need a double-digit win in the Iron Bowl on their resume if they want to sneak in as a one-loss team in the event that they can upset Georgia. Especially, I mean, we could see Washington, Florida State, both undefeated Power 5 champs. How does Alabama go in over an undefeated Power 5 champ? I mean, as I said, would the committee put them in? Maybe, but there'd be a lot of hell to be raised about it. Highly controversial. So I think Alabama is motivated to win this game. And the rivalry, the Iron Bowl, I mean, historically, yes, big rivalry. But what a down year for Auburn. And Hugh Freeze is still new here. I think he's more concerned about the Egg Bowl than the Iron Bowl, to tell you the truth. And Alabama's just peaking right now. They're kind of very similar to what we've seen from Oregon and Georgia. That they're making statements every week. They seem to be making a statement, and the way Jalen Milroe's playing, I don't know. I think Auburn's in tough. I think it's asking too much. I think I want to. I mean, the history tells you that this could be a close game, but this year's data says this should be a blowout. And the motivational factors for me going towards Alabama needing this a lot more than Auburn does. So I'll hand the microphone to you, Kevin.
Oh, you're right, Jesse. If this game was played on paper, I would take Alabama too. But it's being played at Jordan-Hare Stadium, and they got the oak trees back. Remember back when that guy poisoned Side? He poisoned them from Alabama, and they had to start toilet paper and trees elsewhere. The oak trees are in full bloom. The lemonade's getting fresh down there. This is the year Auburn does it. This is the year Auburn upsets Alabama. Look, 2010 Cam Newton, 2013 the kick six, right? Can't forget about that. Alabama hasn't covered in only 2 out of the last 5. Alabama covered this spread. Now it's not played in Alabama. Last time they blew them out was in Alabama. Now you look at all Alabama's road games this year. Arkansas, they barely beat Arkansas. Auburn blew Arkansas out and then had a letdown. They had a blowout win on the road and then had a huge letdown. Could it have been a look ahead? Could it have been over partying from that huge SEC win on the road? All those factors. But Alabama, they're looking at Georgia. It don't matter. They could blow this team out. If they don't beat Georgia, they're not in. They have to beat Georgia. I don't know if they can. They can throw all over Auburn. Auburn's secondary, they get thrashed, but they just don't give up runs. Georgia in that game ran for 70 yards when they played Auburn, and Auburn held them to 27 yards, 27-20. You don't think Auburn can hold Alabama to 27-20, that same kind of score? Georgia's much better than Alabama, and it's going to show up today. Nick Saban, he's going down. They're done. I don't even know if Texas gets in. They might lose, and Florida State could lose, and Oregon could end up in. So it's going to be a fun day if you're into college football. You can win lots of money today. Jesus. Like I said.
I think you just gave me nightmares, Kevin. You just named all these teams that I can't have them all losing today. That would kind of ruin my Saturday. But yeah, well, we'll agree to disagree. Like I say, historically, this has been a rivalry. We've seen a lot of close games, but that kick six was 10 years ago now. I think it's Milroe time. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. And the playoffs, man, the playoffs are going to be interesting, who gets in. But Kevin, before I let you go, why don't you tell us how you've been doing lately, what you got going on, where people can find your picks?
Well, yesterday, another 4-2 day, 6-2 if you count my props. Only on Memo, I put up props for sale. Over at Twitter, I put out free props daily all the time on games. I don't do college football props. If I was, it would be on Milroe today, over 235 yards passing, because like I said, Auburn's weakness is the giving up big plays, and that's one thing that Alabama can do, big plays, but they're not going to win this game on big plays. They're going to have a balanced attack, and I just think that crowd, everything. I think it's going to be the biggest thing Milroe has had to face so far in his college career. So it's going to be exciting. Alabama is a second half team, so maybe look at the first half spread as well, but you can always go over to Sports Memo or any other site that I'm on. Winning Cappers, I'm on a ton of them. Get my premium picks. Got 3 college football today. NBA, I'm hitting 61% for the season, 59% last 75 overall. That dates back to last season. So NBA, college football, and a college basketball. No hockey today. So
And Kevin, as well as the rest of our guests, the links to their profile pages is posted in the description box below this video. Kevin, I'll send you backstage, and we're going to bring out Yosemite Sam. How you doing, Rye?
Wonderful. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to some football. Not too long to wait now. Just another hour, and we'll be watching the game. But we're not here to talk about
just
the game.
Just a recap for last week. You did whoop my ass. I took UNC over Clemson.
That's why we're talking Clemson again this week, right, Rye?
Yeah, we're on the opposite side. Hopefully you're talking about South Carolina the same way you were talking about Auburn a few minutes ago.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Go ahead, shoot.
All right. So, as you know, last week I came on here and I told you Clemson, great coach, tough team, great defense. These weak teams that have high flying quarterbacks and score a lot of points can't compete with Clemson. But that was at Clemson. This time we're going to Williams-Brice in Columbia, South Carolina, and we got Spencer Rattler, formerly the favorite to win the Heisman a couple years ago, coming into the season. He's never really lived up to the hype, Spencer Rattler, but he has his moments. And one of those moments was last year in this game. They upset Clemson at Death Valley. Rattler threw for over 300 yards in that game and a couple touchdowns. Let's look at Rattler's home-away splits. This is going to blow your mind, unless you've already heard it. But, Rattler at home, 78% completion percentage, 17 touchdowns, just 3 picks. Those are Heisman-type numbers, man. On the road, though, we're talking Tim Boyle-type numbers. 59% completions, 2 touchdowns, 4 picks. Clearly, this guy's better at home. Huge game for South Carolina in front of the home fans. Revenge game for Clemson. But Clemson just kind of had that. They're coming off that big win over North Carolina. Could be a letdown spot on the road. Dabo Swinney's future is in question. Is he going to Texas A&M? I'll take the 7.5 points here. I think the Gamecocks will do enough with Spencer Rattler to at least stay within the number. And that's how I see it. But I'll hand the mic over to you, Yosemite Sam.
Yeah, obviously we see 2 very disappointing teams this year. I think South Carolina expected to be a lot better. We know Clemson had hopes for the playoffs. That's not going to happen. South Carolina is looking for bowl eligibility here. But I think, as you said, last year, South Carolina upset this team at Death Valley. I think Clemson is going to be angry. Clemson has won their last 3 games. Obviously, this isn't the same Clemson team we're used to seeing in the past, but they still have a strong defense. This defense actually matches up real well against SC. We also know that SC won their last 3. They played a mediocre schedule. If we look at some of the teams they beat, I guess Kentucky last week is probably their best win. But when they played good teams, Texas A&M crushed them. Missouri crushed them. Florida crushed them. Tennessee crushed them. Georgia crushed them. I guess Mississippi State they beat too, but that was way early in the season. I just think that any strong opponent they played was a loss. I think that Clemson is the better team here. I think they have something to play for. I think they have the better coaching. Before last year, Clemson dominated this series. I think this is another dominant win for Clemson here. I like Clemson to cover this 7.5 now.
Yeah, 7. It did go up to 7.5 last I checked, and that hook could be significant. And I'm pretty happy we were able to cover Clemson on opposite sides in consecutive weeks. That makes the show a lot more fun. Rye, before we bring the other guys in, why don't you tell us what you got going on, how you've been doing, and where people can find your picks?
Yeah, I've been doing great at college football, 13-1 in my last 14. You could always find me at RyeCape on all social media. As always, my free plays are on pickadvisor.com, and then you can get my premium plays as going to be written up as Tom Macrina, which is my birth name. You can find them on Winners and Winers, and of course at theinsidersroom.com.
Sweet. And you can also find his link to his Cappers page in the description box below. We'll bring in the boys and we'll see if they got any opinions on these other games. But before we do that, look at this character, Mace. This guy's a negative Nelly. He watches a lot of the shows I'm in. He follows us on the Winners Circle as well. And he never has anything nice to say. He's letting me know that on Thanksgiving, I guess I put out three videos with free picks, went 0-3. He's letting me know about it. Says I got to stop eating steak and start eating chicken. But he prompted me to look back at the records in my sports capping account, and I posted it on Twitter. I tagged you guys in the post. My free picks over the last decade, 56% winners for 33 dimes. That's 3.3 dimes a year if you want to follow the free picks. And some people would laugh at that and say, that's not that much. Well, if you saw 3.3 dimes laying on the ground, would you pick it up? Because it's free. And that's for a decade. You know, if you can beat the bookmakers for a decade and show documentation of that, it would make you one of the best in the world. So all the power to you if you can do that. And yeah, so I was 0-3 on Thanksgiving. I'll live to fight another day. Everything's going to be just fine here. Guys, what do you guys think about these other games? Can I ask, was anybody shocked when I gave those home away splits for Spencer Rattler?
No. I figured he should have been in the Heisman running this season. He actually probably should have made this team a lot better than they are.
You mean he at the beginning of the year he had that potential but just didn't live up to it?
Yeah.
I think it was last year that he was the favorite, the betting favorite to win the Heisman. And he was really disappointing. And so this year it was just more of what we saw from him again last year, and which bodes well for me because we did see him beat Clemson last year.
Well, every time I say he's going to be good, I bet on South Carolina and they don't cover. So
I've never liked him, to be honest. Him and Caleb Williams. I watched them both play at Oklahoma, and I didn't like the way they carried themselves after losing tough games. And maybe I'm a little bit fussy, but I like guys that are mentally tough, that can handle tough situations, and jumping in the stands and hugging your mom and crying is, that's if you're a 12-year-old boy and I'm your mommy, that's fine. But if the future of my franchise is on your shoulders, that's not what I want to see. Maybe I'm a little bit old school in that regard. Kevin, any thoughts on that?
You're old school, man. This is a new era. This is a new era of soft, and you have to pamper and baby these kids.
Yeah, you sound thrilled about it, Kevin.
Well, I mean, look at the injury report. How many quarterbacks have we lost this season? It's just the world's soft, man. We need tough love. I mean, back in the day, you put a Band-Aid on it or cut that toe off and keep playing. Right now, it's just so soft.
Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks in the NFL, it's just disgusting lately. The quality of quarterbacks that these teams are rolling out. The fact that yesterday we had to see Tim Boyle come out there, man, that was disgusting.
Why not do like Syracuse and go Wildcat and just hike it to your tight end or your running back and switch it up?
I'd rather see. I'd rather see Taysom Hill or something like that play quarterback than the crap we're seeing from some of these guys. And there's a bunch of games this week that we'll see Jake Browning making his debut. I don't have high hopes for him against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense and a team that's rejuvenated after firing Matt Canada. Kevin, do you have anything you want to share with us about the game?
I'm rooting for Navy today, right? It's a big game for them.
Oh, that game.
SMU. I love it. So, which game we talking about?
The game. Ohio State, Michigan.
Oh, the game. Yeah. I have a premium pick on that, so I do bet sharp side. So I guess you could figure out what I'm looking at. So, but I do live in Pennsylvania. A lot of these parents I hang out with, a couple of their kids go to Penn State, and the one dad, he's a huge bettor. He's like, "Hey, I'm on Ohio State." He sent that like a week ago, and then I started looking at the line. I'm like, "Yeah, you might want to hedge your bet here. I'm a little worried for you." But he's like, "Well, look," he goes, "McCarthy, after they got busted for all this, he can't pass the ball for crap because he don't know what the defenses are doing before snap. Like he knew what the defense would do. He looked like the golden child. Then once all of a sudden he didn't know what was happening, like the Patriots against the Eagles in the Super Bowl. He looked like shit, but they have one of the best offensive lines. That offensive line could go be all pro. They could all play in the NFL. They always do that. I give Harbaugh credit from an NFL coach, college, NFL back to college. He always, even at Stafford, he made sure that offensive line protected his quarterback and could run the ball. I don't think Ohio State's going to stop that running game. They're just going to pound it. Maybe in Michigan. So it's going to be tough.
That's what I'm seeing. And in regards to the idea, because I've heard this floated out there that, because they were cheating and they were stealing the signs, that's how they were successful. And now that they're unable to do that, now that the jig is up, they're not going to be successful. Well, we've seen examples of this in other sports, right? You look at the Houston Astros. They got caught stealing signs, and what did they win 100 games the next season? Again, last year they won their division. They haven't really missed a beat. The stealing signs didn't seem all that consequential for them once they got caught. And the Patriots as well, the Spygate and Deflategate and all this stuff. But yeah, well, now the Patriots suck, but they had several more championships after all these controversies.
Dan, all that public money coming in for because of emotions.
Dan's looking like he's got a hot date somewhere to go, some places to pee. Is that right? Is that right, Dan?
No, this is like
you're gonna be streaming later, right? Like after you get off here, you're gonna do a stream.
I may hop over to the channel. Pretty much the whole year I've been streaming game day, and I just do my reaction.
The game day picks
to the expert, to Desmond Howard's picks, stuff like that. I like to see the games where they all got the same icon along the bottom of that screen. Find some free money that way.
All right, gentlemen. Well, I guess we're all looking forward to kicking back and watching some football. So I want to thank all of you guys for joining me today, and I want to wish you good luck, unless you're against me.
Let's cash some tickets.
Cash some tickets, gentlemen.